With guns, we have a better chance for everyone.
Hi. We love our guns. Because we love freedom. Isn't that a beautiful idea, Mel?
Of course it is.
So this is Nephi Khaliki. We are the Double Tap Show. We're here every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m., whether you like it or not.
Or not.
So joining me in the studio, as usual, my partner in crime. They're calling him this guy, Mel.
Yo, Nephi. Let's have a great show and see if we can set the record straight. What's the issue today?
Well, the issue today, we're discussing... well, first of all, Mel,
Oh, yeah.
I've got to put something out there.
Uh-oh.
So, I had announced the meeting that we were going to be doing for the Great Republican Roast.
Yes, of course.
So, you know what happened? So, we announced it at Stoney's. The Great Republican Roast. I was going to take the members of the Republican Party and the Clark County Republican Party, and we're going to do a fun-loving, unifying roast. You know who had the idea originally? It was Jesse Law, the Clark County chairman. He had the idea. He said to Natalie Thomas, who's in one of their committees, that they were going to be, that Jesse said, I want you to put a roast together of me. And so, turns out great minds think alike. We had the same idea. And so, we move fast with events. So I went and organized the event at Stoney's, got the place booked out, got the time, and we have about 36,000 people in our local email database. After we announced it, the folks at the Republican Party, the McDonald's and the Jesse Laws and these other folks, they came down so hard on Stoney's. It's just funny because, all this talk of free speech, and they try to suppress my speech. They had the idea to have a roast, but when they found out that Khaliki was going to be the one doing the roasting, all of a sudden, this is a bad idea. Right? What a bunch of chicken-livered, sissy-pansy, little redcoats. That's what I like to call them, redcoats. Remember, because redcoats were actually enemies of America. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they threw salt on our game to not do the event at Stoney's, whatever pressure they had to put on them or whatever bullying they had to do to get Stoney's to, to back out of the event, which is fine. You know why, Mel? Because there's no shutting me up. If you thought I was going to roast you bad before, I'm going to leave nothing but charred earth. So I wanted to make a new announcement that we're going to do the roast, but we're going to do it on the radio program.
Oh, boy.
We're going to do it live on the air. We're going to do it just like we do Double Tap style. We're going to record the event. And guess what? Now you can't get up there and say nothing. Before you could have said something, because as I said before, if you show up, you're going to get roasted. If you stay home, you're going to get charred. And now you want to try to suppress my speech? Why would they want to have Jesse Law organize a roast on himself, which is vain in and of itself? Hey, let somebody get together and do a roast on me and raise money. We don't need to give money to roast on Jesse Law. That's just natural. Right? But to say, I want to do a roast of me, and then a professional, who's somebody who actually is funny and does this kind of stuff for a living, talks for a living, cracks jokes, been in trouble, got jokes famous all over the world, all in the roast category. When that comes up, all of a sudden, you don't want to do it anymore. Why? Were you going to have somebody roast you that you wrote the jokes for? Really? How chicken you-know-what is that, Mel?
Yes. Well, there's only one way to put it. Chicken, what you said.
Chicken, what? Chicken book.
Okay.
I cannot believe. And you know what? I am so looking forward to this because if you thought it was going to be off the chain before, literally, I'm going to leave scorched earth. There are going to be some butthurt people crying all over their radios. So I just wanted to get that out front, Mel.
Well, yeah, I'll wear an asbestos suit for that show. When we do the show, a small asbestos suit.
Mel, what do you think about that? Like, setting up a roast of yourself, and then when somebody does it,
You don't want it to happen.
what does that mean to you? Am I just pulling teeth here?
No.
What does it mean to you?
It means that well, you said he was going to write all the. Well, won't he? Well, he can call in.
Sure.
Yeah, which you don't think he will, though, right?
No, he won't call in because they're terrified of
Well,
what I'll say. And what they're most scared of, Mel, and this is the part that bugs me, is that they know they can't control me. Well, why should you be trying? It seems like anyone who can think for themselves, is independent, has got their own thing going, is strong-willed, strong-minded, they want them out. You have no idea. You look at the people they've tried to kick out of the Clark County Republican Party. There's some strong individuals that don't agree with them, but that's not the point of this. We don't need that. We don't need people just to blindly agree. I just want a bunch of people that are going to agree with me and then call me their leader. Yay. That's not leadership. I'm so disgusted, and if you think you can shut me up by salting my game over at Stoney's, and Stoney's, I love those folks down there. You know, Sue Loudon and Toad and these people that run that place, they're awesome people, and they don't deserve to be, you know, bullied and threatened with whatever they got threatened with by the McDonald or Jesse Law camp, whoever's getting in there meddling, but they said lots of people put pressure on them. How shame on you people that put pressure on someone for allowing free speech to try to, you want to mess with my business? Really? You want to mess with my business? How many people is it going to take to learn, Mel? Stop messing with Khaliki.
they'll never learn.
They're not going to learn until, look, and they have no idea how much I hold back, Mel. I am so patient. I'm so patient, and I turn the other cheek with a lot of stuff. But when I decide to fire back, I'm going to level the earth. And you're gonna just see. You should have worked with me. I could have more than 10 times the Clark County Republican Party with just our students at Vegas CCW and the Concealed Carriers Union. Could have easily done that, but I'm not bringing them into that nonsense. All that infighting and everything that goes on there. You know what? You want to show me some dragon heads on your wall? Show me some Democrats. All you do is chase rhinos because you think, and this idea of being a rhino, but whatever it is, when we do this roast, Mel, I'm going to torch them. And you know what my goal is? My goal is to get sued.
Oh, boy.
That's my goal. I'm going to roast you so hard you're going to have to sue me. And guess what? Watch me cite the Constitution and Supreme Court rulings on satire. Thanks to Larry Flint.
Yes.
So, I dare you. I dare you. I'm going to roast you so bad, your ass is going to be charred. So, that's the first thing, Mel.
Yes.
I got that out of the way.
Oh, yes.
I'm putting you
did.
folks at the Republican Party in Clark County in Nevada on notice. Don't mess with me. You mess with me, man, you're going to get it. I am not going to sit back and just let you try to censor me or control what I have to say. That's not going to happen. So I'm putting your ass on notice right now. That being said, Mel, I got that out of the way.
Yeah.
What we're going to talk about is there's a very big loophole in the background check system for gun purchases in Nevada. And I would assume that this is probably the same across the country in states that have concealed weapons permit. And I'm going to explain basically what it is, and then we're going to go into a quick break, and then we'll dive into it afterwards. right now, if you have a CCW permit, you can go down to a gun store, present your concealed carry permit. They'll look at it. Oh, it's a valid permit. Boom. You walk out of there with the gun. Here's the challenge. There is a vulnerability in it. Normally, you wouldn't get somebody in the gun business to do it, but if we don't catch it, they will. And then when they patch it up, you know they're going to patch it up way more than is necessary to get the job done. So the loophole is, if you got a permit 5 years ago, and it's 4 years now, when you got your permit, at first you were married, you got kids, you got the permit to protect your family. Then 4 years into your marriage, she leaves you for some other guy. She takes you to court, gets half your money, and files a restraining order against you. And then the police send you a notice that you got to turn your permit in, but you don't live at that house anymore because she kicked you out. And the guy just snaps. And he goes down there with his permit, which has a printed number that's still valid. He buys an AR-15 and 1,000 rounds of ammo, and we all know the rest of that story. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to talk about after the break, man, I'm going to put the phone number out there for anybody that wants to chime in on this. 702-257-5396. That's 702-257-5396. So, as usual, Mel, I want to mention our sponsor. We've got SafeGunLock.com. This is an awesome tool, and you'll notice in our marketing that we're bringing in resources that can help people to get ahead of some of the problems. You know, they just tried to pass a law in Nevada, and Governor Lombardo knocked it down. So we have to remember that we don't get ahead of these things. They're going to do it for us. Safe Gun Lock is a great way to secure your weapon, which they're going to get it passed at some point, some way, somehow. Get ahead of it. Look at safegunlock.com and find out how you can secure your weapons. Make sure that somebody else doesn't get a hold of your firearms, because they're going to hold you responsible. So we'll be back right after the break. All right, we are back. This is the Double Tap Show. We're here every Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m., whether you like it or not, bitches. Mel.
Yay.
Man, so we were talking about before the break about how you could purchase a gun with a CCW permit, no background check. It bypasses the background check. Now, this is a good thing, right? I'm not saying it's not a good thing, but I'm pointing out, and we sent a letter to the state legislators. We sent a letter to Sheriff McMahill and the Nevada Sheriff and Chiefs Association so that we could draw attention to a gaping vulnerability in the system. And so what we're proposing, Mel, it's a good idea. We've secured the name ccwverify.com. And that website is going to be a database where federal firearms licensees or gun dealers can go. When somebody presents a CCW permit at the counter to buy a firearm, then they punch in just the number on the permit number. And the system will just say green light or red light, active or inactive. That's it. Now, those of you that are hip to this stuff know that the CCW list is private, right? You can't get it unless it's another agency or if it's there's some kind of court order. But it doesn't preclude giving incidentals or other information that doesn't indicate who that person is, any personal information that's attached to it. So according to our lawyers, there is a path to be able to provide access to an open source to verify the active or inactive status of a permit number, which would give the firearms dealers or the gun stores the ability to double verify things without having to go and get on hold with the Department of Public Safety. They could just look on the computer and say, oh, it's active, boom. Then you have full confidence to sell that person a gun. Does this make sense, Mel?
Oh, of course it does. And it's so simple. And that's all. I mean, you're saying it's all it is just active or inactive, nothing else.
Yeah, well, by law, nothing
But
else could
that's
be
it.
provided.
Not even name. You said not even name. It's they type in the number,
Mm-hmm.
the permit number, and it comes back either active or inactive. That's all they need to know. If it says inactive,
Then they don't sell it to them.
right, and if it's wrong or if there's a mistake or something, they have every option to not protest it exactly, but change it, correct it if it's so. There's no problems.
Yeah, there'll be a section on there for them to contact who provided that information.
Yes,
and it'll work. That's a beautiful thing about us being the ones doing it. And by I say us, I mean the Concealed Carriers Union of America.
right.
Right, to be able to provide access to this as an additional tool. But it also shows, not only does it close a gap that I think every person in the gun industry would agree, we don't want somebody who's mentally distraught or just off their rockers, out their nuts, just, mentally not stable, taking a permit and using it to get some guns to do something bad with. Right?
That's the whole point of all the discussions. That's it.
Well, the people that would fall into this, that fall through this crack, would be the highest risk group alone.
Yeah, right.
It's not the people that have regular permits or in their second or third, fourth renewals.
Mm-hmm.
These people, that they won't fall through that crack. It's that person that just snaps. And those are the high-risk guys that will fall through this crack. It's literally the perfect size for these guys to fall through, which none of us want. These kinds of guys, and I'm not saying that, you're a bad person because stuff like this happens. It sucks to get dumped and you have your whole life invested in something. But we don't want that person while they're in that most vulnerable state to do something stupid. So, ccwverify.com. You don't bother going there right now. It's just a domain that we've secured for this. But we're making the presentation to Sheriff McMahill, who we know cares about the CCW program and how we manage this. But this is also something that people across the aisle, even Mel, they could literally get behind this idea because you don't need to pass any legislation. You don't need to get any budget allocations. We're going to do it at our expense. The Concealed Carriers Union to pay for this software to be able to do that. And we'll be able to do this around the country as well. 50 states, that's all we do is 50 little applications. What state are you looking in? Bam. Here's the number. How much? I mean, it's not that much effort, Mel.
No.
It just makes sense, right?
Yes, it makes sense. Wow, what a concept. It makes sense.
What a concept. We'd like to hear from some of you guys if you want to call in. I'm going to give the number out again. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, 702-257-5396. Mel, there's a lot of things that we have to start doing as a private industry to get ahead of some of the laws that are going to get passed. We don't want people that don't understand our industry or what we do to be ones passing the laws. And they don't ask us. They should be asking us, hey, how can we make this better? Because you know what? Gun people aren't just the shall not be infringed. We want all our guns. We want full auto. We want this. That's not true. You know, some of the most anal people about gun safety are gun people. How many times I go on the range and some guy who yells at me about something, I'm like, man, you better stop talking to me like that. But you let it go because it's, for the sake of safety on the range. And people have different, etiquettes or things that they accept on the range. But sometimes people on the range, man, they just go a little overboard with, enforcement of the rules, They make people scared to train. So it's not that gun people aren't all about the safety part of it. This is something that they would be interested in. They don't look at the end of the day, Mel. Everybody wants to be safe in their homes. Everybody wants to be free from getting beat up or robbed or mugged or raped in their homes. Nobody wants that. We agree, and I think that gun rights are human rights. I really do. I believe that. And so we do, as those that are at the forefront of it, we need to get involved in creating some systems to help law enforcement or even help the government to do certain parts of it easier, because there's a lot of red tape, to get things done. And so if we take the incentive and we get ahead of it, guess what? You don't need to pass a law.
Well, you want to take it out of government's hands.
I don't want to take it out of their hands, but it needs to be done.
Of this, verify.
Well, not take it out of their hands. That's a really ugly way to put it. It's not in their hands in the first damn place. They're not doing anything.
Not doing it. Well, yes.
So it's not out of their hands. This is more of a positive thing. This is us gifting it to our community. If the tool's not there, then we're going to create the tool because we think it's important. And hey, there's a loophole right here that some very bad individuals could wind up slipping through, and we're going to close it. We're not going to ask you to do it. We're going to do it. So I think this is us being proactive. It's not take it out of their hands. That's such an ugly way to say it. We're doing it for them, for the people, because we also want people to be safe. So there's other things, people don't maybe know if you haven't been listening before. Concealed Carriers Union, we started unionizing concealed carriers 2 years ago. And in Clark County, we have about 36,000 on our roster. We've done a lot in this category, Mel, to assist. We created the first online, on-phone, mobile app to take the CCW test, which we've invited other instructors, hey, use it for free. Why? Because we can track the results and we know what stuff is working, how the students are testing as an industry, not just one instructor that keeps it in a file for 7 years in his dusty garage, right? But to actually use that data to improve the program. And it saves you tremendous amount of time if you do the CCW test on your phone while you're in the classroom. It takes average 11 minutes for a student to finish the test, and then you got another 40 minutes that you could probably do additional instruction. Mm-hmm. So it's a good thing. We also are doing the first CCW tests in multiple languages, in English, Spanish, Filipino, and Chinese, Mandarin Chinese. So nobody was doing that kind of stuff before. So this is what I mean. It's this ccwverify.com would be the same kind of thing, Mel, just to be able to be proactive and make the industry better, because it's better for everybody if we do all these things. So I don't want to take it out of anybody's hands. Nobody's handling it at all as it is now. But I would expect, Mel, that somebody who was like a Democrat want to come up with some of these stupid ideas on how to make the gun industry better. How the hell would you know? That's like me trying to tell a transgender how to better tuck their equipment. Like, it just doesn't work. I don't know. It's not my area of expertise. So, Mel, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a great idea, and it should happen. But it should be, in my mind, feeble mind that I have,
Oh, come on.
Well, no, it doesn't need a law. You're saying it. So both sides of the aisle, and you keep saying Democrats, Republicans should be for this, because it changes the aspect of someone bad getting a gun with an inactive permit. I guess that's the way to put it there. That's what your bottom line is. So what's the problem? It doesn't have to, you don't need to have to fight about it. Everybody should be against someone bad getting a gun. Isn't that simplistic?
Isn't that the actual intention?
Yeah. I mean, isn't it? No matter how you argue now, the way you do it, well, that's the point. There's no bad side of this.
No, this is the gun industry taking responsibility.
Right. Because it's even good for the gun industry. The manufacturers of guns are only interested in my way of thinking, one thing, is to sell guns. This doesn't hurt them. Matter of fact, it'll make it better for them, because then we know less bad people can have a gun. Because every time someone uses a gun for a bad purpose, it reflects on the gun industry, which is not exactly correct. Because everybody talks about mental health, this would be good. So hopefully, what does it need to happen? What needs to be done to make it happen?
Well, what we need to get this done is we need the sheriff's departments, primarily starting with Metro, because there's 105,000 active permits in Clark County.
Right.
We just need a and I'll put it in database language. We need to be able to ping their database to say the query, meaning the question we're asking, is does this number attached to an active status permit, and the response is yay or nay.
Yay or nay.
No information is included with that. It's almost statistical.
Which anybody should be able to have it. It's no name, no address, no nothing. It's yay or nay.
It's meaningless and useless information without the person who's attached to it.
And it takes it out of the hands of the gun store when it's selling the guns, because they have.
No, it gives the gun stores a tool, because guess what, Mel?
They don't have to decide anything. They just, if it says yay or active, they sell the gun. If it says inactive, then you say it can be protested, or the person doing it
disputed
says it's wrong,
or whatever.
Disputed, that's the word.
But still, if we have it in real time, which is what we would like to set up an API key where we can go in and query the database, a yay or nay response, and boom. Think of how many lives we could change. But you ask how much or what we need. We need Kevin McMahill to get around to having the conversation with us about this, and we're sending an invite for him to come on the show.
Okay.
So we can talk about the CCW program and some other things that concealed carriers need to know. Now that we got a new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
Right? So we need a little bit of cooperation. Now, normally you could do it through FOIA, but this isn't a report that's readily available, and we need real-time data. Like, we don't need something that's a day old or a week old, right?
It's got to be instant.
It's got to be instant.
Yeah.
So, but it can be set up easily, through API key or whatever else they want to give us access to, and then we're good to go, man. This program could be up and running in Nevada within 30 days. It's a very simple tool that has massive ability to catch the most at-risk gun buyers, the ones that have had a permit for a while, life went to crap, and they kind of snapped, and now they go in there to buy a gun because the permit still shows valid even though it was revoked. Mm-hmm. And why this system wasn't in place before is beyond me.
Yeah. I don't understand why it hasn't been. It's simplistic.
Because sometimes the gun industry thinks that when the government does something, it's regulation. And for the most part, they don't have very many good ideas.
Well, people don't like regulation. Again, this is not regulation. This is not changing laws. It's not changing anything. And you mentioned a key word here, too. They don't have to have a budget thing. Wow, what a word that is now.
You don't have any politicians whining, we don't have money for this program.
We don't have money for this program. There is no downside.
So if you guys that are out there know Kevin McMahill, let him know I'm looking for him.
Well, not exactly. Don't make it sound that.
No, we're solid.
Oh no,
we're solid. We are big supporters on Kevin McMahill, and we know he's got a lot of things on his plate. Managing everything that happens within the county. But this is important, Kevin. We really need to tackle this issue, and we can solve this one almost overnight.
And you said Nevada, but start in Clark County.
It's easy to do. It's very easy to do.
And then go on.
Yes, so, Mel, we're going to go to another break here, but I want to remind you, if this show gets you all hot and bothered and hot behind your collar, you probably are dehydrated. So, we want to invite you to go to hydrate.vegas. They do alkalized water. This made a tremendous difference in my attitude. If you think I'm a jerk now, you should have seen me before I started drinking hydrate.vegas water. It really does make a difference. My sleep was more comfortable. My joints were just really, greased up, Mel. And for a guy your age, I definitely know you need to put some oil in them joints, because I hear you walk by and they're creaking. They're making squeaking, leaky door noises when they go by.
Wait,
so,
what part of this commercial is to rip me? Come on. No, it's
we'll get back to it after the break. Shut up, Mel.
got to know when to draw down, when to call the law down, know when to move and know when to shoot. You better move for cover. In the middle of a gunfight, there's no time to be a hero till the shooting's done.
All right, we are back. Mel?
Yes.
You know, this is a talk show, and so during the break you have the most brilliant things to say. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to say it. You better be able to repeat what you said during the break.
Well, because I'm so busy listening to you.
Oh, are you enamored by me?
I'm enamored by you.
Are you Twitter-pated,
Oh, my
Mel?
heaven. No, seriously.
Do you have a gnome crush on me?
No, I'm you're a confused person.
Mel, you look like the garden gnome.
Well, that's what you keep saying. But, okay.
Tell me what you said during the break.
Serious. Because, 99% of the time I disagree with almost everything you say or do. I worked for you for, 8 years? And we used to fight like crazy or argue.
Hey, don't get short with me, Mel.
See what I mean? That's the point. Ooh, supposed to cry? No, never mind. Let's get back to business. No, I have a friend of mine who's a radical Democratic liberal. Way worse than me. Way worse. I think. He doesn't listen to nothing. And as a matter of fact, he's never held a gun in his life, probably. He's against guns, which there are people like that, of course.
Sissies.
Yeah, well, a good way to put it, but okay. I mentioned this to him because we had talked about this last week or before the show, of course. I mentioned it to him about this thing and about the specific example of the guy who has a permit. Now, Lowell, he knows what permits are and he knows what guns are. I don't want to say names. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I mentioned a guy, is married and then has an argument with his wife, a fight with his wife, becomes abusive, maybe even, and has the permit taken away. He has started to turn it, but he doesn't do it, goes in and gets a gun. And then you would keep saying, and the rest of the story. Well, okay. And he agreed with me 100% that man should not get a gun. I say everybody would. You could be a Democrat, Republican, Independent, right wing, left wing, middle ring. Is there a middle ring? And
middle leg.
Yes. No, he agrees. Because who would not agree? All you need now is someone that you're referring to, the sheriff, anybody, to talk to you about getting this thing moving. You have the whole idea. You know what to do. There might be some tweaks or something about it to make it better. But you're not saying you want $100,000 to do this. That's not what you're talking about.
I don't need any money to do
any
it.
Money.
I just need some cooperation.
Cooperation. But again, that's supposed to be what we're supposed to be talking about all the time, which very rarely ever happens. It's cooperation. What a concept. It's one of my favorite pet words or expressions. So, where do we go?
I'm glad to hear. That's the kind of balance that I would expect to be able to have for this kind of a program. And I hope it demonstrates that people on this side of the aisle are also concerned about the same thing.
There are no sides of aisles. That's the point with this type of thing. Who was against protecting their family? Could anybody ever say that? No, I don't want to protect my family. I'd rather be.
I agree. I agree 100%, and this makes all the sense in the world. That means it would be a tragedy if it didn't happen.
Yes.
Because what we're pointing out here in this is a massive vulnerability, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Chris Chansky, Range 702.
Oh.
She's the one that pointed this out to me because they go out of their way to do background checks, and people are giving them lip about not being able to go in and buy a gun with just their permit, and it's because she recognized this vulnerability in the system and brought it to my attention, and then I brought in everybody else from the Concealed Carriers Union. We realized, you know what, even the people who are going after our guns and everything aren't catching this. They just tried to pass a law about gun safety, and if you lost your firearm or it was used in a crime, about how you're culpable for that. And this very easy thing to fix, just escape them. That's why you don't need to be making these laws. You need to sit down with us and talk with us about it.
Yes.
We would know better than anyone else. And we want the same thing. Stop acting like we don't want change or safety, or that we want people to shoot up schools and commit crimes. We don't absolutely want any of that, because gun rights are human rights. That's how I feel about it. It's not a political issue, and if you bring it up just on guns, I'm going to tell you, guns rights are not about political parties. They're about...
Oh, it shouldn't be. Absolutely not.
No,
it's.
I agree with you.
Because things about parties, it bug me. Remember, that's what we used to argue about, more or less, too. Because remember, what's the word? When you ask me, am I a Democrat or a Republican, what do I say?
That you're a garden gnome?
Seriously, don't be Nephi. No, I'm an American. Should all Democrats and Republicans be Americans first?
Yes, that should be first.
And to protect, and when we go to war, when we've had, look, I've been involved in things. Okay, of course, I've seen a lot. When you go to in a foxhole, are there Democrats and Republicans in a foxhole?
I would hope not.
No, I hope not. Well, no, well, what's that? There are no atheists in a foxhole. You've heard the words. There are human beings. There's Americans. American soldiers in a foxhole are Americans, and that's what we should all be. Americans first.
Wow, Mel.
Man,
we got to write a song about that or something.
Well, you could do that. I couldn't.
I'll write the song.
You write the song. I'll dance to it. I don't sing. You sing. Oh, I don't. I just dance.
Mel, that was beautiful, man. I should start paying you for this job.
What? Oh, you mean I'm supposed to?
So, those of you out there listening, please make sure when you see Sheriff McMahill or you see anybody about this, it's something we need to talk about. It is a very easy fix, and what we're pointing out is a giant hole in the dam. Yes. And you can fix it. We'll fix it, and it's not going to cost you a damn thing.
I mean, again, what's the question? Where's the...
Somebody has to say yes, and somebody has to be willing to work with us. And you know what? As I said to the people in the Clark County Republican Party and Nevada Republican Party at the beginning of this show, you will not silence me.
Oh,
you will not. And you should stop trying, man, because you're going to get your figurative lip busted every time. This is a good idea. It makes sense. And some people may not agree with how we say things, but you know what? If you don't say it loud, sometimes they don't listen to you. I do what I do for a reason. I say it the way I do because I know that sometimes you got to enrage to engage. Sometimes you got to get people and smack their sympathetic nervous system a little bit in order to get them to pay attention, because people are so consumed by what's in front of them that they stop seeing everything that needs to be dealt with. And at the Double Tap Show, we're here about telling the truth. We're here about helping people and empowering people. And speaking of empowerment, if you don't have your concealed weapons permit and you haven't got it from me at Vegas CCW, get your sorry ass down to vegasccw.com and book a class. We do them 4 days a week. I bust my ass to teach these classes, and you'll look at our reviews. I dare you. There's a reason we're the #1 rated program in Clark County, because we really care about our students. We care about you learning, and we're not going to give you false confidence like a lot of people in the gun industry do. We're going to tell you like it is. We're going to give it to you straight, and we're going to give you tools that you can use on a daily basis to make sure that you are not the one that get picked. So this is the Double Tap Show. I will be back with Mel next hour, so stay tuned for Common Ground.
Yes.
The previous program was paid for by Constitutional Media, LLC.